So what he's saying is we suck and we're just learning. We're trying to figure this out, so bear with us. Let's just get into this. All right, welcome to the Plumbing Gurus podcast. On this podcast, we talk about everything plumbing and business-related topics. And on today's topic, we are talking about how to get paid what you're worth as a plumber. My name's Karsten,
My name's Clayton.
and let's just get into this.
Let's dive into this.
Yeah. So, Clayton, how do you get paid what you're worth as a plumber?
I would say the first, and to give you guys an understanding here, none of this is choreographed. We don't have any. We just said, okay, what's the topic? Let's dive into this. So this is why this podcast is original. So I like this idea. So if you hear some stuff that's kind of out of context.
So what he's saying is we suck and we're just learning. We're trying to figure this out, so bear with us.
Yeah.
Let's just get into
so
this.
I'm going off the cusp right now. So I would say definitely having experience, having confidence in your abilities to do the plumbing properly, having understanding of your surroundings when you're going into a plumbing job. What else would there be? I would also say education. Have some sort of education to back yourself, so that you can convince yourself of what you are worth as a plumber. You're not relying on other people to dictate what your wage is going to be. You're the one that's going to decide how much you're going to be worth from all that whatever. Just
yeah, confidence for sure. But let's start with each year, because you go first year, second year, third year, fourth year, journeyman.
Okay.
So let's talk to a first year. If you're a first year, and we'll talk about all of them. If you're a fourth year journeyman, you're gonna have to wait. First year plumber coming in as let's say you're not indentured, you're trying to get a job, you're calling around. The market could be, or maybe the market right now. The markets are great, pretty easy to find a job right now as a plumber. You can probably walk into most companies as long as you have a good work ethic. You can get a job. But we're talking about getting paid what you're worth. And as a first-year plumber, especially green, you don't really know what you're doing or what you're talking about. It's going to be a little harder to just get paid what you're worth. So if you go in and get a job, you're likely going to just get paid what they're going to tell you you're going to get paid.
50% of journeyman wage.
Yeah, which is normally 50% of journeyman wage.
Yeah.
There are always ways in life to get paid more money and get paid what you think you're worth. You have to be really good at what we will eventually talk about is sales. You got to sell yourself as the best person for them to hire. So if times are good like it is right now, especially in like where we're from, Calgary, but to me it seems like most places are kind of hurting for plumbers. It seems like, and if they're offering you like a shitty wage and you think you're worth more money, ask for more money. But you got to give them a reason to pay you more money. So maybe don't start with that. Start with kicking ass in the first 3 months, 3 to 6 months. If you're a first year, don't be lazy. Show up on time. If you want to get paid what you're worth, if you think you're worth more money, you need to prove to them. The market will always pay you. Like, you need to prove to the people in front of you that you are actually worth it. So it's the same thing with us as business owners. If you're not in there working your ass off and, making sure you're willing to learn, listening, and actually doing a good job, well, you're not worth it. So make sure you can prove that you're worth it as a first year. Yeah.
Unfortunately, a lot of the first, second, third year and fourth year, your wages are a percentage of what the journeyman is, which is usually
lots of companies.
Well, most company how it works here in Alberta is that 50% first year, 60% third year, 70% fourth year, right, and then 100% journeyman.
Something like
But
that.
within those is like once you gain a little bit of experience and knowledge and understanding of what you're doing and the trade and everything else, that's when you can go to your boss and say, hey, can I squeeze a few more dollars an hour? Like I feel like I'm putting the work in. I've bought my tools. I have a better understanding of the job. Like Carson was saying, it's all about selling yourself. And the answer is always no, unless you ask.
Unless you ask, yeah. And like Clayton said, yes, companies, and this is the same conversation we had earlier about like the whole corporate world and like just being an employee in general. the answer is definitely always no until you ask. But you need to have confidence. If you're gonna go to your boss and say, like, you've been there for 6 months, you're a first year, and you're getting paid $18 an hour, but say you're doing water lines by yourself, and you're making this company like lots of money. You're not making mistakes. They're not having to tell you what to do all the time. You've been told once or twice, and you can actually do it. And you think and you know that you're actually worth more money. Then you need to have a compelling argument and a sales pitch of essentially to understand that when you go in there and say, like, hey, like, I'm doing this, you lay it out in front of them. If you know you're doing this and like you can get it, like the confidence across, then it can happen. You can always get more money. Everything is sellable and everybody's convinced. Like, if I had a first year working for me and he was kicking ass, he had his own car, showed up on time, he was always, diligent and listening, no callbacks, like actually like getting shit done and not having, like, I'm not having to babysit him all the time. Well, then if he came to me and said, I think I'm worth more money, will you pay me more money? And actually had a compelling sales pitch essentially to me, I would pay him more money.
Yeah. Let's get real. We would probably go, hey, John, you'd be killing it, man. How about we give you a raise? He wouldn't even have to ask us, I bet. We would be the ones.
If I had somebody like working their ass off, like I would offer them more
money. You always want to keep those good guys happy.
Yeah. So let's go to, like, I feel like second year and third year are gonna, even fourth year, like any of these really years, like a journeyman as an employee in general. Again, you can be an overconfident dick too and think you're worth something, but you may not be. So it's like you may get shut down. So understand that it's not always going to work, but it's worth a try. Like we said, the answer is always no. I wouldn't do it all the time. I would, like, if you think you're worth more money and you're actually making the company lots of money and you're an asset to the company, then there's always an available. Everybody is always, has the chance to make more money. You're not going to get like a crazy raise. You might only get like $1 or $2, but it's that
better than nothing.
Better than nothing. Better than a swift kick in the ass. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the next step, then you're gonna get your journeyman ticket. You're gonna work at the company for a while. You might maybe go into like sales or management with that position, or you might end up just saying, you know what, I'm starting my own business, like a lot of plumbers do, because there's a lot of money that you can make or having and running your own plumbing business. The downfall with having your own plumbing business now is that you are the one that's going to be responsible for any of the mistakes that happen on site, and you're going to be the one to have to go back and fix your own mistakes, no matter what it costs to your company. Obviously, you have insurance if there's insurance claims and all that, but there is a lot of risk to starting your own plumbing business, which don't let that deter you, because there's people that do it all the time, and you just have to have the confidence to do your job and know when you're doing your job that you're doing it properly and you're doing it in a manner where there's going to be no callback. So you're double checking for leaks, you're making sure everything's up to code, et cetera, et cetera. Now, with that being said, if you're at that point where you're ready to take on your own business, finding how much you're worth, I would, if you're a new business coming into the field, it all depends on the style of work you're doing. If you're doing service work, industry standards, whatever the industry is charging, you should be charging the same. Doesn't matter that you're a brand new company or not. Service is its own animal. As soon as you get into like quoting new construction or renovations, you have to give yourself a little bit of wiggle room to get yourself into to award these jobs. And the reason for that is because you're new to networking, and that's a lot of what that type of business is about. It's about networking yourselves, creating relationships with contractors, whoever's in that circle. It could be sales guys or whoever it is, but you're creating relationships. And now to get into the creating relationships is you want to come in just a little bit lower than what you would maybe quote it, just to get the job. You don't want to starve yourself, but you want to make sure that you're competitive with your pricing. And then once you get in, you get comfortable, you can slowly add a little bit more and start charging what everybody else is charging. What are your thoughts on that, Karsten?
Well, my thoughts are there's a lot. It's like we've kind of jumped from one thing to the other, and that's the whole purpose of this podcast, is to help you learn how to start your own business. If you're new to it, we want to help you succeed if you're, struggling with it. So if you do have any questions, let us know. But like Clayton said, just like to quickly kind of answer to that, yes, you want to be competitive. You don't want to be the highest, but you don't really want to be the lowest either. You don't want to be on that race to the bottom. Generally, like when we first started, we were always mostly in the middle, and we're still pretty much at that point. But it's the quality of work that you start with. So usually will start with shitty work. You'll be doing kind of like basement developments or like bathroom renovations, a bunch of service. You're kind of starting your company out because nobody's gonna, unless they know you already through like relationships with another business or another company you used to work for and they know the quality of work you do. Most contractors aren't going to hire somebody they have no idea who they are and do like a large new construction job or even a big renovation. So generally you're going to start by just like working your way in there, and you work your way up, and then you start getting bigger jobs. That's how we did it. Not every business is going to be the same. Every path is going to be a bit different. It depends on where you are. And like there's like, especially if you're in a big city or a small town. If you're in a small town, you're probably not doing a ton of new construction. So you're going to be doing like renovations and whatever and service. But we're kind of just getting off topic of what we were originally talking about, but it isn't really at the same time, because as you start a business, you do want to get paid what you're worth. But again, the market will tell you, like if you're doing a really good job, and you're, like we've said, the same thing with being an employee, you show up on time, you answer your phone. We always talk about this stuff. You have good customer relations. You
do what you say you're gonna do.
Yeah, you do what you say you're going to do, and you don't have callbacks. You don't fail inspections. And like, just be a good plumber and be a good human, essentially. And the work will come. It is struggling. Like, the first 3-4 years are the hardest by far. We all struggled. And this is what this whole podcast is going to be about. We want to bring on guests. We want to talk business, and we want to talk plumbing, and that's it.
But like, with all that being said, Carson, with everything that we were talking about, having and running your own plumbing business, having that confidence and that experience will allow you to have a clear vision on how much you're supposed to be charging as where your business stands, right? So the more experience you get in running your business, and the more relationships that you acquire, and the more, wholesale pricing that you can get that's, more competitive, it just works in the same manner as when you start, where you're on time, you learn the trade, now when you're starting your business, it's the same thing. How much do I charge as a business owner? What can you do as a business owner? How much experience do you have as a business owner? What are your connections? What's your network looking like? So those all play a factor in on how much, you should be charging as a business owner.
Yeah, that's right.
Is that it?
I think so.
All right, guys.
I think we're gonna end it at that.
Yeah.
And like we said, our whole goal is to talk about plumbing related things, and business in general. So if there's any topics you'd like us to talk about, then you let us know. But
give us a holler.
We're gonna jump off this one and hop into the next one.
All right, guys. See you on the next one.